friends, welcome back to a new lesson. I am NIharika, and in today's lesson we are going to look at the verbs that we use when we talk about sports in English. Now, we often talk about sports because many people love sports. They love watching sports on the TV. But then how do we talk about sports in English is what we are going to look at today. Because many people make a very common mistake by using wrong verbs when they are talking about different sports activities. So we are going to look at the 3 verbs that we use in English to talk about sports, which are go, play, and do. So now let's have a look at the verb go. For what kind of activities do we use this verb is what we're going to understand. Well, the verb go is used for the sports that end in the gerund form, which means we use the verb go when we are talking about the sports that end in ing form. So we have few examples that have been listed here. Just before we go through these examples, I would also like you to make a note that we do not use the word to in between the verb go and the activity. Okay? So if you say that I go to jogging, then that is incorrect. So you would never use the word to in between go and the activity. And now let's have a look at the examples and let's see how we can use the verb go. I go jogging every morning. I go swimming on the weekends. I go fishing with my grandfather once in a month. I love to go skiing in winters. And I love to go cycling. Okay, so these are few examples, few sports activities that end in the ing form. That's the gerund. Now you can also use the verb forms of these activities. So for example, if you have to say that I love to jog, then that is correct. Okay? I love to swim. I love to go fishing, skiing, cycling. Okay? So you can either use the verb form of the activity or you can use the verb go with the activities that end in the ing form. Okay? Now there are a couple of exceptions. Well, yes, when it comes to learning English language, we always have certain exceptions. Now with this, we have certain activities that end in the gerund form, that end in ing, which are boxing and weight training. Now, when we talk about these activities in English, we do not use the verb go. I mean, though they end in ing, but using the verb go when we are talking about this would be absolutely incorrect. So you would just say that I love boxing or my son is taking boxing classes. Okay? So you're not going to use the verb go. Alright? So now let's move on to the verb play. When do we use the verb play when we talk about certain activities? Well, when a sports activity is played in a team, okay? So played as a team and as well as a ball or equipment is used to play that activity. Then you would end up using the verb play when you're talking about these activities. Let's have a look at these examples that have been listed here. Well, I play cricket with my friends. Now, cricket is a game, of course, cannot be played by yourself. It has to be played in a team. So therefore, you would use the verb play. Then we also have examples like badminton, Again, when you are playing badminton, you need a partner. If you're playing doubles, then it has to be played by 4 players. And of course, you don't use a ball when you play badminton, but you do use a shuttlecock. So therefore, you will use the verb play when you are talking about playing badminton. Basketball, football, and baseball. So if you have to put these activities or use or talk about these activities in your sentences, you would say that I play cricket with my friends. I love playing badminton. I played basketball when I was in high school. My son plays football every evening. And I love playing baseball. Okay, so that's how you would use the verb play when you are talking about an activity, when you are talking about sports that is played in a team by using a ball or some kind of an equipment. Okay, let's move on to the verb do. So when do we use the verb do? What kind of activities can we talk about using the verb do? Well, an activity that you do by yourself. You don't need a team, you don't need partners, you do it by yourself, you would end up using the verb do. As well as no ball or no equipment is required, okay? So let's have a look at these examples listed. We have yoga. So Raina does yoga, and that's exactly the reason why she looks so fit and great. Okay, so because she does yoga, that is why she is so fit. So now when you do yoga, you do it by yourself. You don't need a team, you don't need any kind of equipment or a ball to do yoga, right? So when you do that, you would end up using the verb do, okay? Then we have aerobics. Well, to stay fit, I do aerobics on the weekends. Gymnastics. Well, my daughter used to go swimming, but now she does gymnastics. Okay, so we used both the verbs here. I talked about swimming, and I also talked about gymnastics. So she used to go swimming, but now she does gymnastics. Okay, and then we have karate. I do karate, and we also have exercise when you are just having a conversation about what kind of exercises you do, then you can just say that I do exercise every morning for 30 minutes. Okay, so this is the way you would use these 3 verbs when you are talking about sports in English. So let's just quickly revise it. We have the verb go. We will use the verb go to talk about the activities that end in the ing form. Okay, then we have the verb play. We use the verb play when we talk about activities that are played in a team, and as well as a ball or equipment is used. And then the last one that we have is the verb do. So we use the verb do when you do that activity by yourself and no ball or no equipment is required. Okay, so just remember these simple rules, and trust me, you will be just perfect when you are talking about sports with your friends and family. And I'll be back with a new lesson soon. Till then, you take care and have a great day.